Hey, Weather Warriors. In this video, we're going to be talking about this storm system right here in the northwestern United States flying into the U.S. This could become a cross-country winter storm maker as it goes all the way to the East Coast towards Christmas here. I'm going to give you guys an update, talk about track timing, location, and much more in this episode of Weather Decoded TV. All right, guys, what you're looking at right now is the infrared satellite, and you can see the storm system tracking right into the United States. That wall of precip, bam, right into the U.S. That's the cold front. Plenty of moisture up and north of that front. We're going to go over to pivotal weather and track this hour by hour. First, looking at the jet stream. We're going to be looking at the GFS because I think this has a better handle this early on. Later on, we're going to be looking at the Euro, and right now you can see that ridging pluming into the central U.S. Big time change here in the northwestern United States, a little trough. These are upper level height anomalies where you see those blue areas. That's where it's cooler, deeper. That's where you get your storm system. So you can imagine a little trough here. Just to the east of those things is where you get your little low pressure systems where there's upper level divergence. So we got a storm exiting the East Coast, ridge in the central U.S., and a trough out west. Now, this is going to move into the country here as we head towards the 23rd. So now we're looking at Wednesday, that bowling ball rolling right into the plains. Some ridging out ahead of this. So there's going to be some height rises out ahead of this thing, which could actually amplify this storm system with that temperature gradient. You see that right there? That's your temperature gradient. That's kind of where your storm systems are going to form, right in between the apex of that trough and that ridge. And because of that, you're going to see a big temperature swing. So it could get very warm out ahead of this for the central and eastern United States. And then behind this thing is going to sweep cold air down from Canada. You can see this ridging here. There's ridging here. That's going to squeeze cold air out of Canada. You're going to get a very quick Arctic outbreak, only maybe 1 or 2 days, but it could be pretty intense for some people. You can see this really blows up on Christmas Eve at 1 p.m. This is out in the Tennessee Valley here, and troughing all the way down. And you can see those really low height anomalies, ridge out ahead and behind. So this thing is going to be a very quick moving Arctic outbreak, but a decent little storm system. And you can see two different pieces of energy, one down here, and then one up here where it's closed off, those black lines. So there could be two different storms along the same system. This is going to be key, and I'll go over that in a second. As you can see, Christmas Day, that exits the region. So we're going to go over to the precipitation now and track this hour by hour. Then we'll look at snowfall amounts and much more. You can see right now the storm system sweeping onto the United States. The black lines, your isobar lines, the dashed lines here, your thickness lines, which is your average virtual temperature in the atmosphere. So areas where you see these thickness lines really tight together, that's a gradient, typically representing a front. So you can see your low pressure system here in Washington and a nice little cold front behind it. And probably a warm front up there right along the border. North of that line, cold. South of that line, warm. So that's going to change quite dramatically as we head towards the 23rd here. So this is the 23rd. We'll go back a few hours right here. This is the 23rd, the 22nd at 7 p.m., and then now it's the 23rd at 1 a.m. And you can see right up there in the Dakotas, that's where your low pressure system is. Look at all those isobars. All the way down to Texas, 1014. And then we go up to the low, it's 990. So a big time pressure drop up there all the way to North Dakota. But you'll notice something missing. Here's your cold front kind of out here, right along the kink of those isobars, but there is no precip along that front. Early on, there's going to be some issues with moisture along that cold front. So I'm not forecasting the southern plains, even though they're in that vicinity of this storm system and cold front, probably not going to get any precipitation with this event. The biggest question mark would be here in Nebraska and Iowa. The European computer model is actually forecasting a decent little snowmaker the 23rd through Christmas Eve in that area. But right now, I'm going to be siding with the GFS and the Canadian and keeping the snow track north of Montana, Washington, parts of Oregon up there, the Dakotas, and Minnesota, probably along the Canadian-U.S. border. There could be a nice little band of snow running east or west to east here. So that's the 23rd at around 1 a.m. So as we head towards the 23rd now at 1 p.m., look what's happening now. The cold front is beginning to light up with precipitation. The issue is if you're looking for snow out in this region, there's dry air and behind the cold front, and that 540 line, this is the rain to snow line you want to keep an eye on. Look at it where it's at located here. Okay, so that's your warm front right up here. And south of that warm front, typically you don't get snow south of the warm front. It's going to be north of that warm front usually. South of that warm front, it's going to be very warm and moist, that warm sector coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. So you're going to get all rain south of this warm front up here. Now, behind the cold front, the issue with cold fronts are they're very dry, okay, very cold and dry. So you got your 540 line there, but your precip is just out ahead of that cold front that I'm talking about. So that 540 line isn't quite matched up to it. So because of that, that's going to be mostly a rain event if you're south of the United States. However, there's a big question mark here in the Northeast. We'll go over that in a second. But as you can see on Wednesday here at 7 p.m., a nice little snow event for southern Canada, maybe some wraparound snow in the hot northern plains here, where you could get a few inches of snow and some very windy conditions up there around the 23rd at 1 p.m. But watch as this system moves towards the East Coast, Midwest East Coast. This is the 24th at 12Z, which is 6 a.m. That's Zulu time. Now, what we're going to look at is a big feature change here. So this is our cold front right here. Notice that 540 line right along that precip shield. So about 50%, 75% of that shield out ahead of it is rain, but right behind it, we could get some mixing of snow. This is not a classic winter storm. The classic winter storm would be up in Canada, where you get that big classic comma head appearance, hundreds of miles wide snow band. This snow band is going to be narrow because it's right along a front. That front is going to scorch out that moisture very quickly. So as soon as it turns over to snow, the show's going to be pretty much done. But you might have a few hours where you get a decent amount of snow right along that front, and you could stack up a few inches in the northeastern United States. And I'll go over that in a second because we also have something else to watch. So see that low pressure system up there in Canada? That's dying out. That's beginning to die out. Sometimes with these really aggressive fronts and very elongated pieces of energy, you sometimes get a second low pressure to develop farther downstream along that front. And if that happens, that can enhance the wrapping, the kind of redo what you had up here but farther south. And that can enhance the precipitation and snow potential for the northeastern United States. We're going to go over that now as we head towards the 24th, Christmas Eve at 1 p.m. See that kink down there? That's a new low pressure system developing. You kind of see that wrapping right there. That's going to deliver potentially some decent snows for the upper elevations all the way through Pennsylvania and even the Great Lakes. But you can see that rain to snow line zipping right through that front. This low system starting to die out a bit, but south of that, thunderstorms and rain and even some snow. So there could be some thunderstorms, maybe some isolated severe weather from about Alabama down to the coastline. Not a whole lot, but at least a chance there, and then some precipitation. But as we head towards the 24th around 7 p.m., look what happens. That low moves up. So that low will start down there. It kind of zips up that cold front. And you can see the low is now in New York. And there might be just enough wrapping around that low to deliver a nice little snow band on the back side. That's going to be New York, Pennsylvania, Great Lakes region, up into Canada. So that's something we're really going to have to watch over the next couple of days. But the threat for snow for the far interior northeastern United States is increasing a bit. So as we head towards the 25th in the morning, you can see that low moves up now into Canada. So that's where your coldest and snowiest of precipitation is. Again, you want to be near that low if you want that snow on that west side, north side of that low is typically where that heaviest snow is going to be. South of that cold air is going to wrap in and really that cold dry air is going to wrap in and really scorch out the moisture. So it'll be a quick moving little event, but behind it, very cold. Look at that 540 line diving all the way down to Florida. That could be very, very cold, very warm out behind it. So yeah, you have a very, very strong temperature gradient and some very cold temperatures. As we head towards the 26th, that thing moves off the shore, and then we got a new system coming in to the west coast. Well, we'll be making videos on that if that looks like it's going to be anything significant. So let's go out to the European, and I'm going to kind of show you the differences here. This is the 23rd at 6 a.m. The European's actually forecasting a decent snow event for Nebraska and Iowa. Right now, I'm going to be siding with the GFS and the Canadian for that area, but you can see it blows up here and into the Midwest. And then as we head towards the 24th at 7 p.m., there's that low pressure system. Moves into the Northeast, so pretty similar, and then moves out. What I want to show you is the upper levels, and then we'll look at precipitation. So you see this upper levels. This is the vorticity, the spin in the atmosphere, kind of measures the lift in the atmosphere. And you can see right now that that low out in the northwestern United States has a nice slug of energy. When you see that energy cross perpendicular here to these black lines, the height lines, that's going to really feed these storm systems from down below. And you can see it's pretty strong and intense there. And then as we head towards the plains, it weakens just a little bit. So there could be a bit of a recycling as it hits the plains. So the biggest question would be Nebraska, Iowa. That's where a lot of uncertainty is, what's going to happen right there. But I do think that the northern part of the storm will hold together, and then it will re-strengthen as it heads to the Midwest. And you can see that right there, that slug of energy. Look at that, very impressive piece of energy sweeping into the Midwest as we head towards the 24th here. This is the 24th at 1 p.m. You see that closed off look? That is a closed off little low there with a slug of energy out ahead of it. It's a classic sign of a little winter storm up there. You can see, though, it extends all the way down to the coast, but your snowiest, coldest area is going to be where that area is closed off. So that's going to keep the snow up north early on. But notice what happens here as we head towards the 25th. That piece of energy moves to the east. There's a little closed off low there, and you can kind of see this recycle to the south a little bit. And look at that. Boom, right there. So you got two pieces of energy. This is 26 now, one up there, one over here. So we have two different pieces of energy. The issue is there's some competition between the southern and northern branches. And when that happens, it kind of spreads things out and keeps that cold air, that snow from wrapping around and creating that comma head type of appearance. Typically with these stretched out events, you get a cold front with rain out ahead of it, and then it's that cold, dry air scorches out the moisture. So that's the issue with these. They typically form that way, but again, there is at least a chance of snow in the northeastern United States and obviously the northwestern United States when this is pretty strong. So let's look at snowfall amounts. We're going to track this forward, and you can see the track of the storm system. This is the 23rd. We'll go all the way out to we'll go out to the 26th here before that storm system hits the west coast, and you can see snowfall amounts. Look at that, Nebraska. That's a huge difference between the GDPS, which is the Canadian, and the GFS, which is forecasting almost zero. But the most likely area to get snow is going to be up here in northern Washington, into northern Idaho, and northern northwestern parts of Montana, where you could see as much as 1 to 2 feet in some areas, especially the upper elevations. It'll weaken a bit with that upper level of vorticity weakening, but the northern plains into southern Canada could see a few inches. Nothing significant. It'll be a light snow, won't be a heavy snow, except maybe as you get towards the Canadian-U.S. border, as you head towards the lakes into northern Wisconsin and northeast portions of Minnesota. When that strengthening occurs, it starts to re-strengthen. That piece of energy was particularly strong up here, and you could see 6 to 12 inches with that energy into southeast portions of Canada, all the way into probably the northwestern Great Lakes. And then as that low redevelops to the south and moves north, this would put the threat for the northeastern United States under the gun into southeast Canada again. And that could deliver another few inches of snow, probably 4 to 8 inches maximum. But some areas in Canada and maybe even some isolated areas in the upper elevations could see 6 to 12 inches. So it's something we'll watch. Definitely a moderate to potentially significant event, particularly in the upper levels or upper elevations and particularly in Canada. But right now it looks kind of like a mid-major type of event, somewhere in between a moderate and a major for the interior northeastern US and the Ohio Valley. But again, the best area is going to be up here in southeast Canada, where that piece of energy, that northern branch, is the strongest. Again, the biggest question mark is how powerful will that second low be? And will that energy maintain itself or even strengthen earlier on for the plains, Nebraska and Iowa? That is the biggest question right now. Again, I'm going to be siding with the GFS and the Canadian, with flurries up to an inch at best within that area. And the European probably has the best handle out here in the East Coast. And so that's going to be your forecast, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be making more updates. Subscribe if you like updates like these. Hit those bell notifications to get these hot off the press, because those are the most up to date. So hope you guys enjoy this video, and we'll see you soon.